All right, got my makeup. No, I got my, hold on, turn this light on. Does that help? Turn it brighter? Brighter, brighter. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so I have my moisturizer on. We're going to do my makeup and chat about codependency. Always a fun topic. So basically, when we are with a narcissist, it's like hands down, you don't have an option. You're going to become codependent with them, on them, and they with you in a way, but they really set it up so that you are going to be dependent on them. And it's interesting. I heard someone talk about it this way, and I liked this way of thinking about it, because codependency, it's, you know, it's got many aspects to it. But one thing that kind of does really sum it up in a good way is when you are codependent, I'm going to put on my lawless, I love this stuff. When you are codependent, it's almost like you are waiting on someone else to determine your happiness. Kind of like every day, like with narcissists, you have to walk on eggshells, right? And that creates this dynamic of you can't be happy or like at ease. I don't even want to say happy. They said happy. I feel like you can't be at ease unless they are okay. And that's codependency of any kind. Codependency does not have to just be with a narcissist. Like that, it can be with anybody. Codependent on someone else's happiness or feelings to determine your own feelings, your own life, right? That's why people, when you get enmeshed with people, whether they're narcissists or not, when you get so enmeshed with someone who is negative or angry or whatever, sorry, I got a little text, you are affected so much by them that it affects your whole life. It affects your attitude. It affects what decisions you make, right? All right, we're going to put on, are we going to do this today? Are we going to do the dermatology? I feel like doing something else. Hold on. I always forget about this elf thing now. I wonder if I'm dark enough yet. Let's spread it on and see. I'm going to use my Crunchy. I just washed this. I hadn't used this in forever. This is Crunchy brand. Let me see. Oh, that's too yellow and dark. I could spread it and see if it works. If not, I'll put something over it. Boop, boop. I love this big doe foot applicator. It's fun. It's like a little game on my face. So I just love that description of like, it's really making someone else's ways like your ways, like deciphering how you're living. And that is so energy sucking, right? And we know that narcissists are big energy suckers, and they manipulate and calculate to create this dynamic. They do it on purpose. Think about isolation. If you're with a narcissist, maybe you don't know if you're still with them, you're still navigating this, or you're on the other side but researching more. If you look back on your time with them, what do? They often will isolate you from others so they can have control. So you will be codependent on them and need them so you won't leave them, so you can remain their supply, right? So it's quite interesting to see how that whole dynamic works out, right? I guess this does work. Is there an SPF in this? No. So sad. So just wanted to talk about that real quick. Is anyone even on right now? Say hello if you're on. Sometimes it says 0 and then people are chatting, so obviously there are people there. I'm going to put my one of my favorite blushes on. Actually, let me do this Nude Envy. I feel like it's springtime. It's really nice. It's getting warmer here. This is my Nude Envy. Love this color. It's really good for spring and summer. Ooh, I put kind of a lot on there. So that's my little jam about codependency. Being codependent on anyone is so not healthy, so not good for you. You lose yourself, right? Of course, you're going to lose part of yourself in the process. So it's like very important to make sure that if you're with someone in a relationship, that you think about, do I have my own identity outside of this relationship? Has this person isolated me? These are all like signs that it's not healthy. If it's not a narcissist, you could maybe get help and try to work through it and see if you can, make it a healthy relationship. If it's a narcissist, there's no being, hello, Marie. There's no being healthy with a narcissist. So I always suggest run. I know easier said than done, but that's always going to be my advice. Unless you're like co-parenting and that's not possible, then I recommend the gray rock method. But if you're in a relationship and it sounds like any of the things I just talked about with the codependency, isolation, get out while you can. And another thing was not having guilt around, like codependency can create this guilt we get of, like I saw someone, I follow these narcissistic recovery Facebook pages and just like watch how people talk so I can help more to see where people's mindsets are. And someone was saying, we have to have compassion for narcissists because they went through abuse too. First of all, that is not always true at all. That is not a proven thing. That's not true. Yes, that can be a thing. Narcissists can have been abused. Often, though, that is, in my mind, there's more and more proof that it can be hereditary. So if you're in a line of people that have the genes to be a narcissist, there's probably abuse because maybe their mother or father. Many narcissists are very abusive. Right, but they were saying, even like if they're abusive, you should have compassion for them. I don't have compassion for shit. Not in that, no, I have no compassion for abuse. I will stand on that is the hill I will die on. There is no compassion in my body for abuse. None. There's no reason for abuse. There's reasons people may abuse. They start out as teens. People can be born with narcissistic, either narcissism as a whole, as an actual mental illness, right? Like just like borderline personality. It's similar. It's under the same umbrella, right? You can be born with this. Environment, you can develop it, narcissistic tendencies because of your environment, whether your parent is a narcissist or sibling is a narcissist, or if they have tendencies, maybe their parent was a narcissist and they picked up traits. So it can be a chemical thing, it can be a hereditary thing, it can be environmental. I don't care why it is. I don't care why anyone abuses. My job here is to help people protect themselves from that and to say, I don't give a shit either. And I'm going to start caring about myself more than an abuser to try to protect the abuser. I protected my abuser. They threw a chair at me and I helped them patch the wall up, right? That's so backwards. And now that I'm outside the situation, that seems like so crazy. But did you ever see the show Maid? M-A-I-D. I think it's The Maid, right? Or Maid. And I can't think. I'm so bad with remembering actresses' names or actors' names. But the main character, basically, it starts out, it's an abuse story, right? Like her husband's abusive. And same thing, there was some part, I forget now because it's been a while since I watched it. Like it was last year. But I think same thing, helped him cover up abuse, the proof of abuse or whatever. And it's like when people talk about it, like, oh, it just boils my blood now when I see someone on these feeds on Facebook saying we have to have compassion. No, why? Why do we have to have compassion? If they were abused, that sucks. Go get help like I did. I was abused. I got help. Go seek help. We can, I will say this. I think we can offer opportunities to people. We don't need to help them ourselves. We don't need to save them. We don't need to be their supply to make them feel better and help boost their confidence because they don't have any. Not my problem, not my job. My job can be, hey, you're having issues, you're abusive, I'm out, go get help. Here's my opportunity for you. I'm telling you, you should go seek therapy. That could really help you, right? Give them a resource. It is not your job to fix them. It is not your job to try to love them into being better. That is bullshit, and that's not how it works. I'm a little passionate about that if you can't tell. Let me try this light instead. Hold on. Oh, my big light is unplugged. Oh well, you're just gonna have kind of not the best lighting. But yes, I do get a little passionate about that because it enrages me where I'm like, how many people excuse their behavior, even in my own family, to watch people say, well, he's had it rough, or oh well, he has low self-esteem. No shit. I don't care. I don't care. I didn't have low self-esteem. Does that mean I'm going to go around beating people and strangling them with telephone wires? No. Does that mean I'm going to berate people or chase them down in parking lots? These are real things that happened in my family. No. Guess what? I got help and continue to get help because I was abused and had low self-esteem, low self-worth, right? Again, we're going back to the word decide. Mary, right? Decide. We get to decide. So what do you want to decide? That person has a decision too. And if they don't, it's not your shit. If they decide they don't want help and they don't want to go, they'll make excuses. All narcissists will make excuses to not go to therapy or get help or whatever. And I'm not saying therapy for people in general is like the only answer. Like, you know me, I have a million coping mechanisms, whatever. For narcissists, I mean, they would need deep years and years of deep therapy to help, but they will not get that help. And to me, that's not my shit. It's not my problem. I told a narcissist in my life, therapy really benefited me. Maybe you could benefit from it as well. And they flipped the hell out and said their life is great and perfect. Right after they had said they were a shitty person, didn't know why they were this way. They had a vulnerable moment. But the second I said get help, they're like, oh, are you fucking perfect? I'm like, no, hence why I was in therapy since I was 14. That's the whole point of this conversation. I'm not perfect. Like, oh yeah. And then they said, I have the best life. I'm doing the best I ever. I'm like, well, you just said opposite of what you're saying. So, and then they flipped out, said, F you, hung up on me. That was, that was lovely. But I offered an opportunity of an idea. That's where I feel like I can do that. Sure, I can offer ideas. I said, I think you could benefit from therapy. I did. And I'm not nearly as fucked up as you. No, I didn't say that part. That wouldn't have been very nice. But it is true. So with narcissists, it's just back to the codependency thing. What they do and how they manipulate into being codependent and needing them and feeling like no one else gets you and no one else will be as good as them. I had my narcissist ex-boyfriend, when he could tell I was really done, it was like the third breakup, but that is when I was done. I think he could sense it, so he started getting meaner. Usually the other breakups, he'd get really sweet and cry and flowers and poems. And the last time he got mean and said, oh, you'll be back and da-da-da. And he said to me, you'll never find anyone like me again. And I stared him in the face and I said, thank God. Boom! Mic drop. which wasn't the nicest, but he brought the worst out in me in the end. I mean, that's not me to say things like that. I said things in that conversation that I'm like, man, I got mean. But I had been so destroyed at that point. I mean, destroyed is the only way to put what I felt in that moment. Actually, I'll share this. This I've never ever shared. You heard that? I don't think I've ever shared this. I thought, did I? I don't know. I thought I was pregnant. Marie, you'll know. You listen to a lot of my stuff. You'll probably know. I did think I was possibly pregnant. My lady time was very late, and like really late. I think it was like over 2 weeks late, which was not normal. And I had been asking him, will you take a test with me? Like I didn't want to be pregnant, but I was 25, I think. And I was always of the mindset, like, if I get pregnant, I'm going to have a baby. It is my choice to do this thing in life that creates babies. Kissing. For any youngers around. No, I'm making this choice, so it's my choice. I know the risk of what comes along with that. It was always in my head. I did not throw it around freely. I did wait till I was a little older because that was a mindset I had. If I'm going to choose to do this, I want it to be with someone I'm in love with, and I know there's a risk of having a child, right? That didn't mean I was super excited about it when I was like, oh my gosh. I kept, it was like, it was usually on point, and it was late, it was later, it was at 14, 15 days, but even days before that, I'm like, can we please just take a test? Because he was going away to Europe for 3 weeks. And he's like, yeah. I kept pushing it off, and then the day before he's leaving, I called him, and I was like, dude, like, can we please take this together before you leave? And he was all, I don't remember, it's been so long, but he was all like upset and just like, I got to get ready for my trip. Hung up on me. And then we talked, and I forget, he was like, I'm at home, and hung up. And I was like, I'm just going to go over there. I'm going to go over, get a test. He lived right by CVS, and do it. Like, I'll go there, I'll do it, and then at least we can know. So I went over. I missed my boyfriend of like, I don't know, almost 2 years or something. So I went over, and then I called him, and I said, hey, I'm outside. Can we, you want to get in the car and we can go to, and he was like, no, I left. And I was like, why? And because he knew I was coming over, like that was the plan. He was like, I left, and my boy was telling me girls do this to trap you. And I busted out laughing so hard. I was like, what? Trap you? Like, I have you. I've broken up with you, and you chased my ass to get me back. And I said, you think I want a fucking baby right now? He's like, kinda. I mean, maybe you're doing this. And I mean, my heart, he had already damaged and broken my heart so much, but that, for him to like think that of me and act this way when I was like terrified, basically. And his roommate came out, and there was this girl roommate of his who did not like me. Actually, she's passed away now, which is really sad. She drank a lot and destroyed her liver and died at a very young age. But she didn't like me because she was like in love with him, I guess, and I was dating him. But she came out, she saw me crying, and came out, and she was like, are you okay? And I was like, no, he's such a piece of trash. He's awful. And she's like, Christy, you deserve better. And she's like, I mean, I know he's funny and whatever, but like how he treats you is horrible. And I was like, I know, I can't do this. But and I started crying more, and she's like, well, do you just want to break it off? And I was like, I don't know if I'm pregnant. And she was like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, that's why this is like even harder. And she's like, why, is that why he left? I said, yeah, I was going to come get a test, and then I guess he freaked out and didn't want to. And she was like, how shitty. And she was like so pissed off. She was like, come on, let me take you to get a test. And I was like, okay. We went to CVS, got a test. And she's like, come on, you can take it inside with me. And I was like, that's weird. You like hate me. And she's like, I don't hate you. I'm like, you hate me. She's like, no, I don't. And I was like, I'm just going to take it at home, whatever. And I ended up going to my mom's house. I didn't want to take it alone. I don't know why. Like, now I would totally be fine. Like, you know, I was just young. I was scared. So I called my mom, and she didn't care. She was whatever. She's open about that stuff. Not like we talked about it at length, but she probably knew I was, you know, doing that. So I called her and I said, Mom, I'm really late on my period. Can I come take a test at your house? She's like, all right, come on over. In her New York accent. And so I went, and oh, I'm sorry. Wait, this is the biggest part of the story, which I just glossed over. So as I started my engine to leave his place, he pulled up in his car, and he knocked on my window, and I was like, and I started moving forward, and he's banging, and he's like, stop. And he unrolled the window, and that's when he was like, I'm sorry, and he's crying. And I'm like, oh, save your crocodile fucking tears. Like, you have destroyed me at this point. I am done. And he's like, yeah, well, you'll be back. And I was like, I will not be back. This is the end. There is no more. I have hit that point where people break. I'm broken, and I have nothing left at all for you. And I said, and I hope to God that this test is negative, because I would be horrified. This was the worst thing I've ever said to anybody in my life, but I was shredded to pieces, and he was horrible to me. There's other stuff. I haven't told you all of what he's done, but I said, I would be horrified if something with your DNA is living inside of me. Which, that's like, I mean, maybe it doesn't seem that bad to some people. My friend was like, he deserved it. I'm like, but still, I don't talk like that. I don't even think like that. You know, it's like horrible. But in that moment, I was like, he's such a horrible human. I don't want to even have a child with his makeup, you know? And he looked like hurt, obviously. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he's like, you'll never find someone like me again. And that's when I said, thank God. And I went home. Went to my mom's house, took the pregnancy test. It was negative. I took actually 3 of them. I think I bought like 2 boxes. I was like, I was so terrified, especially after that. Like, I already was terrified. And then to be like, oh my gosh, this guy is such a horrendous person. I don't want to be tied to him. Like, I in my mind, I was like, this means I would have to stay with him, even though that I know it's not technically true. I was horrified. So I texted him, and I said, overjoyed, like 3 negatives. And he's like, he kept calling me, and I was like, nope. He went on his little trip. He was calling me from Europe. I mean, he tried. He called me for weeks crying on the phone. So it was a sad story, but that's codependency. Like, I was codependent on him, and I just had a breaking point. And unfortunately, often it takes like a rock bottom. That was my rock bottom, was having somebody like abandon you in a hard time like that, you know, and the fact he would think I would do that, and then, in his apologies and texts and calls, he was like, my friend just got in my head. I know you wouldn't do that, you know. Oh, Marie, thank you. I mean, I'm fine now, but let's be sorry to that 25-year-old Christy. I was so broken from that relationship. I mean, literally, there was a lot more that he's the one, I know I've talked about that. He called me a CUNT because when he can't, like, it was so manipulative. Like, he would do these awful things to me and somehow twist it and call me names and then like paint it like I was the bad guy. Like, the brief example, which I've talked about before, is I was supposed to be in this movie my friend was making, and we were going, it was in DC, and I was going to stay at my this boyfriend's house because he lived closer to DC, and it was like early morning, like 4 a.m. was, I think, when we started shooting. And he canceled, like, last minute. He was like, oh, my bros want to go out. He was very much a bro dude. My bros want to go out, so we can't hang out. And I was like, what? He's like, well, you can come over, you can spend the night, but like get here at like 11 or 11:30. I said, no, I got to go to bed early. I have to get up and shoot at 4. He's like, well, you can just come at 11. And I was like, no, I'll just stay at Pete's. Peter was the guy who is, yes, narcissists blame you, and totally, it's always someone else's fault. They'll never take blame. Absolutely, Marie. Unless in this case, like I said, where I don't know that he necessarily said sorry, but he'd come back with flowers and poems, right? That's their maybe admitting fault. It's not really, it's really just they feel out of control, that they don't have control of you anymore, so they're trying to get you back. That's what it is, simple. So I said, I'm going to go spend the night at Pete's, and he flipped out and was like, no, that guy wants you. He wants you. And I'm like, his girlfriend's going to be there. His girlfriend of 2 years. Like, what are you talking? No, man, da da da. That's effed up. You can't do that. And he was like, you're an effing cunt. And that was one of our breakups. I didn't handle that well. But that was an example, right? Like, he canceled on me. Yeah, they give you gifts instead of sorries. Because they can't admit fault, but they can try to just win your heart back, right? So he, that was just crazy, right? So that is a very good example, though, that situation. He canceled on me because his bros, man, his bros canceled on me. But then when I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to come to your house at freaking midnight. I got to get sleep and do this movie shoot. And this is a good example of codependency too, right? Because of all the drama that was caused because of the codependency and the enmeshment, I ended up not doing that movie. And I had been so excited for it, but he would take those things from me. And now looking back, knowing how narcissists are, I didn't know anything about narcissism then. Looking back, he probably wanted to ruin that for me. He didn't want me to have those things. He was a very jealous guy. He was, when I would get certain things, he'd point out how he didn't and set up almost like I should feel guilty. So he probably purposely ruined that opportunity, this movie, for me. And Pete was like, Christy, you can't let him affect you coming to this. Like, you want this, you want to do it. It was like, you know, it was a really cool thing. And I was just so devastated. Yeah, they take things that mean something to you. Yes, Marie, they do. And he took a lot from me. I mean, now I'm on the other side. I feel sorry for him, but like in ways just like, he's just a mess. He's a loser. He's a jerk. He's made really poor decisions in his life, and he lost someone who was, I mean, I would have gone to the ends of the earth for him, you know? And that's who they prey on. And we can't forget that. And people who are like us, who are empaths, and I talk about this in this week's, I have 2 episodes coming out this week, so don't forget to go to my podcast, But Still She Thrives, and subscribe so you get notifications. But I talk about this, how empaths and overthinkers, we're targets for these people. They know they can get us the heartstrings, and they can mess with our minds because we overthink as it is, right? So they know we are an easy target to create that dynamic of being codependent and always thinking about them, which creates the codependency, the obsessive thoughts. This week is all about, it's about why do we have these obsessive thoughts with narcissists? And what can we do about, like, how can we stop the obsessive thoughts? Those are the 2 episodes this week. And I think they're fire. Like this week when I was recording, after each one, I was such a nerd. I stopped recording. I was like, oh, it's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Like I felt really excited. Actually, last week's I kind of felt like that too. Like there's certain episodes I'm just like, I know there's a lot of value in my content. I do believe that. But there's some episodes that I'm just like, oh God, I hope this helps so many people, like, and this is one of them because there's a lot of people that just can't stop obsessing and trying to understand. There's so much I can't get into because it's a lot. It's in the episodes. But it's so hard for people to understand why they have the thoughts. It's like different than if you have a breakup or something with someone who's not a narcissist. Those are hard enough. Throw in a narcissist who has already created a very codependent situation for you. That's why it becomes so hard. But yeah, more details in the podcast. So I'm going to get ready. Marie, real quick, how was your weekend? Did you do anything fun? God, it was gorgeous here yesterday. We went to like a little festival thing. Cora had swim Saturday and Sunday because she had to make up for one from last week when she had the stomach bug. I got the stomach bug. It wasn't horrible. It was like I woke up in the middle of the night like really sick one day, but then it was like, all right, not too bad. Went to yard sales. Oh, that's fun. I love yard sailing. I mean, I haven't done it in forever because I'm trying to not over clutter my things. Oh, I also decluttered. I didn't show because I had to do it so quickly. I was trying to just jam out. I got rid of a lot, like 3 bags and 1 box of stuff. I literally have all my makeup in this. Hold on, let me see if I can show you. Oh. Okay, hold on. Okay. All my makeup's in that now. You buy old coat bags and resell. Oh, that's great. I love that. You guys aren't going to believe what I'm getting rid of. But I get so overwhelmed and I do not wear nearly, like, I have all these eyeshadow palettes. Some I've had for years, but even the ones I got last year, they're just not the best quality. I'm a sucker for the packaging. But it feels so good, like, that all my makeup is in right there. It's just like, oh, it feels so good. I rearrange things. Yeah, I feel really good about, like, clean. Oh, and I got the most amazing car wash. Like, it was $70. It was like almost a detail job. They did so amazing. They worked on my car for, I'd say, almost an hour. Ooh, going to Sephora, get some makeup. Girl, I'll live vicariously. I'm still actually going to declutter what's in this thing, too, because I've noticed lately, like, what I'm wearing and not wearing, like, lippy-wise, and I don't know. There's some things I'm going to get rid of. But, yes, have fun at Sephora. That sounds great. But, yeah, the car wash, it was basically a detail job. I mean, not every nook and cranny, but my car, I'm just going to be transparent. It was not looking good. It was like, oh my God, just from the winter, the dirt. I haven't gotten it cleaned in so long, and I don't clean it after that. And I park under a tree. It's a cherry tree, and like there was just all stuff mucked up. Oh, there was a mouse nest because I went to get my oil change. My friend up the street, I went to high school with him. He always takes care of my car. So I was like, can you change out both filters and do the oil change? I said, there's like a smell like when it rains. So he was like, Christy, your whole vent was like full of the cherry blossoms and dirt and shit. So that could have been it. And you did have a mouse nest. There wasn't a mouse in there. A mouse nest in like on top of your battery, but he cleared everything out. And so that's what made me go, okay, maybe I need to maybe it's time for a little car wash since I have rodents living in my car. So that was kind of embarrassing a little, like, ew. But he said it's common. Maybe he should try and make me feel better. But anyway, I'm going to go do my Pilates and then get to work. I'm excited about the week. I hope you're excited about the week. What are you grateful for? Think about that. Start your day out. What are you grateful for? It's such a good place to start. Think of 2 or 3 things. What am I grateful for? You too, Marie. Good to see you. Everybody, stop your codependency. It's not cute. It's not good. It's not fun. Okay? Deuces and smooches. Oh, sugar, sugar. Coffee, coffee.